It's Project 2000 lift bed day. This is it all laid out, all the components. These are the instructions. That lot you can throw away. You've probably guessed I'm not Italian. Don't need any of that. Most of this is in Italian. There's a couple of little bits which are in English, but the problem is with that, it tells you about this part. Nowhere in the instructions it tells you where this bit goes. Fortunately, most of it's common sense, so it's actually not too bad. So they're the guides. You get these little caps for the guides as well. That's where the strapping goes through, these seatbelt straps, which holds the bed from moving about too much. Your mounting points that your seatbelt threads through, they go either side. Motor. This adjusts where your bed stops and starts. It counts to rotations. Doesn't really tell you that, but yeah, if you've got an ounce of common sense, you'll work it out. That's the wiring that comes with it. The neat little control plate, operated key, so you haven't got people messing around with it when you, if you've got people in the van. Got these safety points that are actually wired in, so the system knows when these are on, just for travelling, etc. When the van's in motion. Cable access when it's going up and down. And then you get this little book which does have English in it. Much of it's not very much help. Probably more on the wiring side. The diagrams don't help very much. Actually, you don't need that. That was my peanuts from yesterday. Right, I started marking this out already. That if you are sleeping east to west, you'll probably note that the actual bed frame itself isn't that big. This is about 1.5 meters by some meter. It's about 1100 wide. The reason that is, as it comes down, it gets wider. So there's little pull-out bits or little flap-down bits that you need to make to actually make it up into a full bed. But I'll explain that later. I started marking out this spindle already. So you've got the motor, spindle on either side. You've got this little spindle that runs right the way through, which you can control. Has a little manual winding handle that can go in the front or the back, so you get a couple of options of that. That goes in this, in this spindle that runs through. That does have a bracket on either end that mounts. You've got, I'm cutting this section out through to there. Then that just tucks in either side of these spindles, so fairly easy. The seat belts or strapping webbing, they you can slide, so you can sort of mount them wherever you need to, wherever the best fixing point is for each individual application. So I'm going to get started. So that's the motor assembly. This is the little motor counter, counts how many times the spindles turn. So you can adjust, you have these little adjustment buttons on this side, and you can adjust those for the ascent and descent. So they're cut. These slide on here pretty easy, and that's all ready to start fitting in. That's the frame marked out. I'm going to get this cut, see if we can get it all mounted up. If you're doing the integrated bed frame system, you'll need something like this. Yeah, looks confusing. Now I've got the motor and the spool fitted. You can see the cutouts I've made. You have to take this bracket off to get all the motor and housing in, but otherwise it all goes in sort of fairly neat. And obviously you've got the mattress that comes over. I've got 2 layers of mattress going on. The first layer will come up to this height, and then the second layer will have a slight cut out on the underside, but this is at the foot end, so there's little sacrifices, but this is at the foot end, so yeah, won't affect your night's sleep. Obviously it's right near the edge of the bed anyway. The spools, right, how I've done this, you can see where I've mounted out and sort of just done this little notch to put the bracket in. That goes to the guide side, so this comes off the top of the spool. This part will get mounted in the alley, that will fed through there. So this one comes off the top, that one gets wound around and comes off the bottom and goes underneath the ply, so all that gets hidden in the build up of the bed. So I'll have another thin bit of ply that goes underneath this that works that out. I've finally got everything mounted to the bed base. It won't be the easiest job you do in the camper van, that's for sure. There's a lot of tweaking around. There's so many ways you can mount this, but yeah, I don't think I'll ever choose the easiest way. So where before I was going to have the motor slightly sticking up a little bit, which took up more space where the mattresses are, and I had this sort of counter above, I've now got it all mounted below, so I'm going to create a little downstand mounted below. You've got 2 straps on either side. This one goes underneath the ply, comes out on this little black guide that you get supplied with a kit, runs down this side to this one. On this side, this one goes through that gap, comes on the other side of the alley that I'm going to put in, the structural element of the bed, and then the other one runs through and runs up and over that side. I've now got the structural piece of alley connected. Really stiffens up this board along this edge, allows everything to connect to it. You've also now got the guides on there, which are all fixed underneath. So everything is fixed at a bit of alley, so nothing is going anywhere. So that should be good. Finally getting ready to install the bed. Cut yourself 4 blocks. They will go in at your lowest setting. I've got them there ready to go. Let's get the bed in. I've got the bed in. You can see it's just on the blocks still sitting down there. I've got the guides in. They run up there. They are fixed at the top on both sides. You can just see the bracket up there. That is, I've only got 2 screws in there, just in the slotted screws, just so then I can undo them and adjust it as I need to, because they need to be perfectly parallel to the guide at the bottom. Same on this side. Just in the slotted screws, just so I can sort that out in the guide. That all seems to be okay. I'm going to wire up the motor, give it a test, see if it works. Get yourself one of these. You're going to need it. It's been a long day. End of day 1 on the big electric lift day. It's in, it fits. There's a fair bit of tweaking to do, but it's the main part of it is there. The hard bit is there. So you can see how I brought stuff through here. You got the end of the motor sticks through just here. You can get to the manual winder easily enough. This is the encoder, which measures the rotations and how far up and down, which still needs some tweaking. It's not quite working as it seems to. Obviously the guides are in, as you can see there. I've done this little slot in the aluminium. That brings the strapping through, which keeps it nice, neat and tidy. So the straps, both straps go underneath the frame itself, well, or my sheet of lightweight ply. Both straps go under the frame, so you can so it's actually lifting the bed. Yeah, so the controls come down here at the moment. So basically you can get hold of the controller, down comes the bed. You can see the spindle runs through, that's all the motor. So it does stick up a little bit, but by the time I get some battens on here, or the little springy battens on the bed, some sort of cushioning, by the time I've had that, 50mm mattress brings me up to the height of where the motor is. Then there'll be 50mm mattress going across the top. So if we need to increase the foam a little bit, or memory foam, easy to do, just to make sure this is covered up. But actually it's all gone in It's all gone on really well. Because there's a window flare going outside, there'll be a flap out of the window flare which comes down and meets that bed. So it should all work pretty well. Very pleased. We've got the electric lift bed fitted. It's all neat and tucked away, as you can see it now. We'll bring that down. We've got the roof vent above. Sits down and sits nicely there. We've got 2 layers of 50mm memory foam, as I mentioned before. The bottom layer has a small little cut out at the bottom, just so it sits over. We've got all the bed slats that sit in there, so just off Amazon, nice and easy. And that all tucks away nice and neat. The motor sits on this side, as I mentioned before, it just pokes through. And then we've got the window flare fitted now, so we've got our full space. So I've just got the little plastic covers to fit, but otherwise it's all in works. We've tried, tested it, and it's surprisingly stable. I was really pleased. And it's lovely in the morning when you can wake up and look at the views. Fantastic. When the bed is in its closed position, we've got a little light in that goes over the dining table. It's a little local switch. We've got the motor, as I mentioned, sticks down just here. We're going to do a little box in here, and I've got a little drop down projector screen that sits in, and a little projector that sits in this side. We've got 2 pieces of alley that run along the back, which so you've got alley running all the way around, which is your structural part of the bed. Because I've made the bed out of 15mm lightweight ply rather than a metal frame like most people, or probably like you should do. But by not doing it in a metal frame, I've saved weight and saved height. So you can see the 2 layers of 50mm foam just squash up underneath. And so you just need to be careful, a little bit of space just for closing the rear doors that go onto the catches at the top. But otherwise, goes in there really neat and saves loads of space. There you go.